Hombale Films brings to you Bold Diaries.
An interesting and exciting few hours for us. I guess if I go back to mid-morning yesterday, we were pretty clear on our retention and release decisions, and we'd communicated to all of our players, and we were pretty clear on what that meant for our auction priorities. So it felt like we were going to have a fairly quiet afternoon. If you look at the retentions and the decisions we've made, you've obviously got a really strong top order, and we wanted to enhance the middle order by adding a little bit of power. So that was always going to be a bit of a priority for us. Now, preferably, if that power was a batting, pace bowling all-rounder, that would be ideal, because it just enables you to balance your squad and your team in a very different way. So with us having made the very difficult decision to release Wanindu Hasaranga, that middle order power option could be an overseas player. So someone like Cameron Green was the perfect fit for us, and certainly somebody that we discussed as a standout option if available going into the auction. So that was much of that background, was the thinking that we had been doing over the week that led us to some of those difficult decisions, but also where our focus would lie. And then with a couple of hours of the retention and release deadline to go, we were made aware of Cameron's potential availability for trade, which we had to take seriously. So having spoken to the guys at MI, we got a small group of us together at our end, and we thought we'd better discuss this and debate the pros and cons of trying to make this trade work, which is what we did for a little bit of time. And essentially, we were trying to weigh up whether we take the risk of someone else picking up Cameron Green now. So that could have happened, I guess, before that deadline, by hoping he makes it to the auction as a release player, but somebody else could have picked him up, which is obviously the case. And even then, if you get to the auction, there's no guarantee that you get him at auction, because you could easily be outbid. We know that Cameron's a high quality player. He's going to attract huge interest. So they were the things kind of weighing on our mind. Or could we try and get him now at a comparable value? You're always making predictions about value. You never know that with real certainty. So could we try and make that trade happen now and go into the auction with some degree of certainty, and probably our primary gap filled, or at least, one of our two primary gap fills is kind of how we were thinking about it. And then that focuses our auction towards a smaller number of things. So after some back and forth with the guys at Mumbai, and exploring sort of both a player swap trade and also a cash only trade, we managed to agree the cash trade, but only at the 11th hour, which was interesting, and it was an exciting finish, and certainly not the quiet afternoon I was expecting.
Our focus area really was around the middle order, and where we could improve that middle order in case we do lose some of those top players at the top, which inevitably happens. So that's one area. The other area was getting the balance right on the overseas players, and how we allocate our resources in that area. And of course, even in these days of impact players, all-rounders are still important. So we've debated how we include all-rounders in our 11, and when we do so, what options and flexibility that gives us. So we've spent a lot of debate time and looking at rosters of players and their various skills, and it's been a fascinating mini project.
With regards to Cameron himself, look, he's the ideal fit for us in that middle order power role. He's a high quality, skillful and powerful batsman. He's got a game against both pace and spin. He's obviously got international experience across formats. I'm sure he will enjoy batting at the Chinnaswamy, so seeing him do that will be really exciting. He's also a fantastic bowler, and he bowls with pace and bounce, which were certainly attributes that we were looking for, specifically, particularly in our home conditions. And let's not forget what an exceptional fielder he is too. Some of the catches he's taken in recent times fielding at gully have been seriously impressive. So that makes a really, really exciting package for us, and we're delighted to have him on board at RCB. So I guess now we can go into the auction with a pretty precise focus on what else we need to add to our squad. And we've got a decent amount of money left to do that. We had made some brave decisions around our retention and release to free up the money to do something like this. And you never know value until you get into an auction and you can get into a bidding war, and there certainly aren't going to be loads of overseas all-rounders available necessarily of Cameron's quality. So you want to try and get some certainty in that area where you can, and we think we've got good value for money because we think it's a serious prospect.
Hombale Films brings to you Bold Diaries.